Welcome back to A Journey Through Cinema, and today we're going to be jumping back into 1914 with another film from Edwin S. Porter, a movie pioneer well known as the director behind the pivotal film, The Great Train Robbery. By this time, Mary Pickford had picked up steam and become one of the most popular actors in the United States, but it would be Tess of the Storm Country that sent her popularity to never-before-seen heights and would make her one of the most popular actresses in the world. Tess of the Storm Country became a smash hit and one of, if not, the highest-grossing film of 1914. But this film, despite its achievements and popularity at the box office, was plagued with issues. The movie was based on a popular book of the same name by Grace Miller White, but the screenplay had been stripped down, and a lot of the elements of the novel had been reduced to what Pickford would later refer to as melodramatic cliches. She would initially refuse to sign on to this film, but ultimately would be convinced simply by the pure popularity of the novel. Now, Pickford would re-team with Edwin S. Porter, who had directed her in her very first ever feature, A Good Little Devil, just a year earlier. But like many films from this time, this movie is now considered lost. Now, the filmmaking industry had undergone a lot of changes since their first team-up. Since then, Pickford had become a film pioneer in her own right, and expected a strong collaboration process with many of the directors she worked with. She wanted to help develop the acting and visual language. The honest truth is that Porter had fallen behind the times. He had failed to adapt to the changes in the medium, and was stuck in the past, with overly simplistic camera work that failed to take advantage of the space and felt stagey and static. By this point, the works of Billy Bitzer had blown most competition out of the water. This same year in 1914, Bitzer had re-teamed with D.W. Griffith again for Judith of Bethulia, an extravagant epic with action set pieces and cinematic scale. Even more recently, Cecil B. DeMille had entered the scene, making his very first picture, The Squaw Man. We actually have reviewed this on this channel, and you are welcome to go check that out. DeMille had only just left stage production and just started his career in film. And even then, he had only spent one day learning the film art. Yet even in that short time, he had already left Porter far behind. And then there's even Charlie Chaplin, who too just began his career in 1914 and was making waves with his rapid-fire, energetic style. By comparison to these legends of early cinema, Porter's art form had become simple and dull. His framing was boring, his performances directed dryly, and his art direction lacked three-dimensional depth. Now, if this film had come out in 1905, it would have been impressive, but Porter had fallen nearly a decade behind the eight ball. If it wasn't for Pickford's easygoing charm and likability, this movie would have barely been watchable by modern standards. Pickford herself hated working on this film and called it one of the worst experiences in her career. She claimed that Porter knew nothing about directing. Nothing. Any professional relationship they had before this film started, I think, was probably done by the end of it. So let's jump into the actual story here. The movie follows Tessabel Skinner, which sounds like a name that would probably fit well in the Harry Potter universe. Tess is a girl who lives in a community that is squatting on a rich landowner's property. When the owner tries to drive the squatters off his land, a man is killed, and Tess's father is mistakenly convicted for the murder. But don't worry, we have no time for that, and the movie quickly moves on to a forbidden romance between Tess and the rich landowner's son. But wait, we also have no time for that either, and quickly the story also switches to Tess taking care of now a baby who is born of the rich landowner's daughter when she gives birth out of wedlock. This film has a bad case of attention deficit disorder. It doesn't seem to know what story it wants to focus on. And for most films, this probably wouldn't be a problem. This isn't a lot to fit into a film, but with a short 1 hour runtime, it just doesn't have the time to develop all of this in just a satisfying way. Instead, it seems to shift from one to the other as smoothly as a car with a bad clutch. Just as one story gets interesting, the movie gets just distracted and switches just to a complete other one. Tess as a character is also far from Pickford's most compelling. She tends to wander from scenario to scenario, agreeing to whatever is asked of her, because she is just the nicest person in the world, with no drive or conflict of her own to distract from those good Samaritan values. And the supporting characters are just as interesting. It's so concerned with all the plot lines that it completely forgets to just develop any of them in any kind of way. So now I'm gonna get into a bit of spoilers here, so I will give you that warning. The movie climaxes around Tess taking care of a child who belongs to the daughter of the rich landowner, like we said before. She fears at one point that the child may be dying, so takes the child to be baptized so that the child's soul can make it up to heaven. When the church refuses to baptize the child because it belongs to an unmarried squatter, the real mother finally comes forward and reveals it is hers, much to the, pearl clutching of the church-going observers. But none of that matters. As soon as Tess isn't responsible anymore, she pieces out of there and leaves the mess behind. She goes back to her home and finds her father has been let out of prison. Hooray! Then her rich lover returns and they decide to be together despite the scandal. Talk about a lucky string of breaks, right? Sounds pretty good. The movie is poorly structured and prone to melodrama. The fact it became such a massive hit is still kind of a mystery to me. I can only assume that this was because Pickford's rocket ship was already launched and she kind of just took this movie for the ride. She isn't given much to work with, but she does have a couple nice moments, such as in the church when they refuse to baptize the child and she stubbornly decides to do it herself. These moments are pretty far and few between. Porter would retire soon after this movie at the young age of 45. Though one of the great film pioneers, his expedition into this world would finally come to an end. Other talents quickly rose, and he failed to adapt to the newly crafted artistry of the medium. Many theorized that maybe Porter's heart was never into the art of filmmaking at all, that he was far more intrigued with the technology of film, that he preferred the thrill of mechanical invention over working with actors and characters. Now, this is a tough sell from the creator of the Great Train Robbery. Mary Pickford, on the other hand, would soon become one of the most recognizable women of the world. Her hatred for this film and working on it were renowned, and only 8 years later, in 1922, she would remake it. Now, I can't say if it was for a second crack at the material, or if it was just out of spite towards Porter, or if she simply wanted to bury the past of a movie she greatly disliked. Either way, I've heard the remake is considerably better, and I'll likely check it out just to see how it compares. Unfortunately, Tess and the Storm County is not a film I particularly enjoyed, but it is a great look at how fast the technology and the art was being developed, and how even those at the forefront of this great new industry could quickly and easily be swept aside by the sea of new upcoming talent. This is not to devalue Edwin S. Porter and his contributions to film history, but times they were a-changin', and perhaps he knew he couldn't keep pace with them. Pickford, however, considered this film to be the start of her new career, as she took a more commanding presence on the creative side and demanded more collaborative input on the films she was part of, helping to charge into a new age of cinema. And I think I'll leave it there for my review of Tess of the Storm Country. Let me know your opinion of this film if you have seen it. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and until next time, keep those reels a-turnin'. Thank you very much.